Napkins. This is Melanie from Christian Craft Paper, and today I'm going to be showing you how to decoupage a wooden box. So here I have just a small wooden box, and I did already start the paints, but what we are going to do today is we're going to decoupage just as an example, one of our napkins. So this is Matthew 6:26. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or stow away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. So that's the napkin we're going to be using today. And what I have here is I have just a chalk paint. I also have a wax. I also have some little embellishments that I'm going to be using, just some little metal edging pieces. I have a hot glue gun. I do have some Mod Podge, brushes, a little sanding paper. I also have our flawless finisher I'm going to be using today to smooth out the wrinkles. And I think that's it. Some scissors. And yeah, we're just gonna get started. So I did just start the paint a little bit, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the paint just around the whole outside. I'm not gonna do the top because this is gonna be where I'm doing the design, but I'm just taking the paint, and I am not gonna tape anything off. I'm just gonna kind of go around it and try not to get the little metal latches. This is one of the boxes that we do have on our website available. Right now at this very moment, it is only available in our, what month are we in? February crafting kit. So if you're watching this in February of 2023, it is only available if you're part of the Crafting and Christ kit club. But if you're watching this after, it'll just be available in the store under our canvases section. So we do carry napkins, decoupage tissue. We also carry crafting canvases, decoupage canvases, and then we just started carrying tools. So this will be the first time that this is our first of our tools, the flawless finisher, and this will be the first time that I am demonstrating it because we barely just got it in 2 days ago. So I'm excited to try it out on this project. And yeah, so I don't have as much problems with the napkins. So sometimes because of the wording, it does get a little bit tricky, but especially with the tissue paper, it seems to get a little bit more trickier because that is a thinner paper. Oh, we also carry rice paper. It is trickier to get the wrinkles out, and so I do know that is one of the things that our customers do struggle with the most. And so we have been mindful to try and come up with a way to help the crafting be easier for everybody, so they don't have to struggle with that. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna keep going on. I am not gonna paint the bottom while I'm doing this video because I wanna show you how to decoupage the top, but for the finished project, I will paint the bottom. So as a finished product, the bottom will be painted, but I don't wanna go through and have you watch me do that. But for a finished project, yes, it will be painted. And then I am just holding the box closed as I do this. I didn't latch it so I could work around the latch part. And again, I'm just, it might come up around the top a little bit, but we're gonna be sanding that. We're also gonna be waxing it. I do have an antique wax I'm gonna be using for part of that. So again, it's just, nothing has to be perfect with crafting. And that's part of my release with crafting a little bit because I have a tendency to seek perfection. So crafting is kind of one of those ways that I kind of rebel against my own need to seek perfection. And I just try and let it go. So again, we're just kind of freehanding around these joints, or these, what do you call them? What are these? Hinges. struggling for words right now. So we can just kind of go around them. And then if you're worried about the direction of the brush strokes, once we get around these hinges, we can make all the brush strokes grow in the same direction once we get around them. Alright, we got some nice edges there. And again, just kind of working everything in the same direction. I forgot which is my top and which is my bottom. I don't want to go too crazy on the top, because I do have that design going on there, and I don't want this green or the sage to show through the design. Now, in the event that I did get some paint on the top and I messed up and swooped over there and it got dark, I do have a couple options, because you know, stuff happens. You could sand it off once it's dry. You could go over it with a white, or you could just paint the whole thing and then just put the napkin over it. If you have a darker napkin, you could use, it might not even matter. This one has white in the middle, so you know the darker green would show through a little bit. So that's the only reason why I don't want it to be on there. Okay. And then I did get a little bit of green on that hinge, so I can, it's still kind of wet, so I can just take this. It's the back, I'm not gonna get too hung up on it. So this is the bottom. I did get a little bit on there, but like I said, I am going to paint over that, so I'm not too worried about it. Now the inside, you could go through and again paint the whole inside. I probably will do that, but I'm not gonna do it in the video now. I am gonna just kind of rub these spots here because I don't want the box to seal itself closed while I'm working on it with you on the video. And since I'm gonna be holding it closed, I'm just gonna, because there's kind of extra paint bubbled up there, I'm just gonna thin that out a little bit. And then I'm gonna let this sit open here while I prepare the napkin so that it dries, and then I can close it and it won't seal itself shut, because that would be fun. What if I was trying to open it later? Okay, so for the napkin, I'm gonna take a little sip here because I'm in Arizona and it's dry. Oh, my mouth's dry out on us here. Okay, so our napkins, we get them printed, custom printed here in the US. So because of that, we only have the option to print on the front of the napkin. That's the only option they give us for the custom printing, because it's digital print and they only can print on the front. So our napkins only have the one design. So we are just going to cut out the piece that we need so that we're not working with the whole napkin. So I'm just gonna put that aside. And then I'm just gonna put my glasses on so I can see to get these plies separated. And I don't wanna leave my glasses on the whole time, because I noticed when I was doing the beginning to make sure that I was in the camera, it was giving this horrible glare off the glasses. So I am sacrificing my vision during this project to make sure that you don't have to see the ring light off my glasses the whole time. But we just need this top ply. So you can tell when you've got it when it's like super see-through. I don't know if I'm trying to show you that, but you can see through the layer, and so you can see this one's a little bit thicker. So that's how you know you've got the top ply. So we're gonna very gently just separate it. Don't get all crazy, just go slow. It is pretty easy to separate. Most people say that it is, they separate very easily. However, I do have one review on my website. It's either on my website or Etsy, I don't know. I saw it, it still bugs me, that she said it to her when she separated it, and she was very unhappy with that. So one time someone had a problem separating it, so just go slow. But for the most part, I have not had any issues. Okay, so this is Mod Podge. This is how I fill my little paint pots in the kits. So I'm just gonna use this to squirt it on there. if you get a kit, they come in these little pots and you can take them out, but this is just regular Mod Podge. I use matte. You can use whatever you have. But I'm just gonna squirt this on here and I'm gonna spread it out. Hopefully I didn't get too much. That was a little generous. This is the first time I've used like that thing. I saw some other crafter use it and I was like, that's genius. I just got that little thing at Dollar Tree. So if you do a lot of crafting, they seem to only have it during like the summer, which we are now coming up on summer. It's in like the barbecue section. So what's nice is if you have like your paintbrush, you can just, if you get too much, I'm just scraping it off and sticking it in my water. But you can just spread it over here. So I'm just gonna spread over. And then I am gonna be using my flawless finisher. So I'm gonna just get a nice even coat, taking the extra off that I don't need, making sure I got it all the way up to the edges. I feel like I'm frosting a cake here. All right, that was awesome. I'm gonna be using that from now on. And this is just gonna be the tricky part. I'm just gonna try and get this where I want. I would not be using that if I wasn't using this, just to let you know, because when I have done this before, I usually start from the center and work my way out because otherwise it's too hard to get the bubbles out because I do it a different way. So I do want to preface it by doing that. If you do not have the flawless finisher, you might want to look at some of my other tutorials on ways that I do it because it's really hard to get the bubbles out if I usually, like again, I'll do a line in the center and then I'll work a little bit at a time and I'll use my finger or I'll use saran wrap and I'll work my way out that way. But since I have a tool to get the bubbles out, I'm going to be doing it a different way. So I'm just gonna lay this on here and I'm just kind of dragging it to where I want. And I didn't quite get it, the square center. This is the problem when you're using an actual square. Because now I've got two squares I need to line up. I have to line up the square wording in the middle, and I also have to line up the napkin that is a square on the outside. All right, so flawless finisher is working. I'm just gonna do it from the center out, and I'm just rolling. Gentle pressure. This is the first time I've used it, so I probably should have practiced before because now I'm getting the hang of it. Okay, I did better on this side than I did on that side. Oh, I'm getting the hang of it now. Practice. Okay. I did much better on the right hand side than the left hand side because I got the hang of it halfway through. Oh my gosh. Isn't that the way it works? Okay, I love this. I'm gonna be using this more often. Okay. It does take a practice. You would think, oh, it's just easy to roll, but you'll see like when you look at it, when I bring it up, I did better on the right hand side than the left hand side because even though I was using a roller, I was kind of dragging it. It does take a little bit getting used to because we're used to, if you haven't used the brayer before, you're used to brushing, like you're used to like a feather movement. So the tendency I'm noticing now with the brayer is to feather as you're brayering, and it's not. You're simply rolling. You're not brayering, you're not feathering as you brayer. So you'll notice on the left-hand side, I was just rollering, and on the right-hand side, I was feather rollering. I hope these are the right and left to you. Anyway, so you are gonna wanna practice before you start using the flawless finisher on your projects. Otherwise, you will not have a flawless finish. But this is good to know. I'm still super excited to be using this. I'm gonna keep practicing with it. But we're gonna let that dry. Well, we're actually going to make sure your box is locked. But I'm actually gonna do the edging now. So because I've got it on there good, I'm gonna go ahead and just use my sandpaper block and get these edges off. So I'm just sandpapering the rest of the napkin off that I'm not gonna be using, just the excess. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. I have these tiles, and I'm gonna be practicing with a flawless finisher on the tiles so I can get it down, because I absolutely love how the right hand side turned out. And I've been using my fingers and pressing and feathering for so long, I'm gonna have to get out of the habit of that now. But if I was a beginner and that was the first, if I had started with that tool, that would have been a game changer for a lot of my projects. I remember the first few times when I started decoupaging with my very first paper that I came out with, the John 316 decoupage paper, I kept smearing the wording, and that was so frustrating to me because I had this gorgeous paper and this gorgeous print that had the scripture on it, but every time I would work with it, I would smear the words because the ink will come off. If you work with the ink too much, the ink starts smearing, and it was frustrating to me because I was like, how am I going to be able to create projects with this beautiful paper if I'm smearing the ink every time I use it? So this would have been a game changer at that time. So if you're a beginner, learn on that. Learn on the flawless finisher. Do not be me and learn the other way, and then now you gotta unlearn it. All right, so what I'm doing next is I am taking some of my wax, my antique wax, and I'm just gonna go along the edges here, and it's not gonna take a lot with this. And I am going on the napkin and the painted side. And for this, I'm just going to kind of age it is the goal here. Again, we're getting both the front and the sides. And this paint job doesn't need to look perfect because we're actually gonna go through and I'm just taking my cloth here and I'm actually working it in towards, working it in and down. On both sides, so just down on the box and in on the napkin. And you really can't mess this up. Okay, so there we have the top. Anywhere that's wet, you still want to work. And then I'm actually going to do the same things down the corners. And again, we're just trying to make this box look like it's not new. Okay, we're gonna take my right here and just do the same thing. Do want to be careful because my Mod Podge on the top is still kind of tacky and I'm touching it, which is always dangerous. So I did make a fingerprint, I just flawless finished it back out. So there's another reason to have it. If you jack it up, I just rolled it right back out. Okay, so you can see here, again, this is the side that I didn't do so great with the flawless finisher here because I was dragging it instead of actually just rolling it. But this is the side I had got it down pretty good at. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is add the little, these are just metal embellishment pieces. I'm probably gonna carry these on the website too. So they're just little corner pieces and I'm just gonna add them to, I gotta decide if I want all 4. I was originally gonna put them on the front of it, but I realized they're a bit too big. You know what? I still can put it on the front. Ooh. They do go above where it opens. I saw this similar box on Pinterest, and even though it goes higher than the lip of the box, I'm just not going to attach it up there so that the box will still open. I'm fine that it goes higher, so you can put them wherever you want. But I saw it on Pinterest where they were attached like right here, and that's how I want mine. So I'm actually going to attach them right there. But you could put them, you know, if you wanted to put them on the front of the box, you could, but I did really like that look. So even though they are a little bit too big, I'm still gonna put them there because I liked that look. And that's what I had in my head. So that is what I'm going to do. So I'm gonna hot glue gun them. You could also, what is it, E6000 them if you want more permanent. More permanent look. I'm not really that concerned with them staying on. So I'm actually just putting the glue right on the box and then just pressing them in. Okay. Alrighty, so that's how mine are gonna look there. So there's the front. That string's hanging down there, I can see. And then there's how my little charms or my little embellishments end up. But there you go. So that's one way to decoupage the box. Again, afterwards I'll go through and I will paint the back, and then I am gonna go through and I will paint the inside as well, so that it is completely finished. But this would be great on a little chair tray, stack of books, bookshelf. Super cute project, would also make a great gift. And yeah, so thank you for watching this tutorial. I would love to see your box or anything that you create with our napkins. If you do post it on social, do not forget to tag at Christian Craft Paper, especially if you're using any of our napkins or products. We love to see what you create with them. And until next time, happy crafty!